What's up, everybody? This is Super Mike 2164. We are on the Science Network, V1 Lab Science and History channel. We're going to go over something real quick. Yes, I am late, and I do apologize for my tardiness, guys. But we want to go over this food as a weapon. And I just want to document a few things real quick here. We're going to get started right away. We're going to just read from this PDF because we have to document and be able to put things out there that help our people understand that food is being used as the weapon. Okay, so here we go. Let's go straight to it. We're going to share the screen. And today we're going to go into the plot to target Black women through the food that they buy. And keep in mind, this is from the publication put out, Waging War by Zip Code. Waging War by Zip Code. Waging War by Zip Code. That's what we're pretty much looking at, guys. It's gonna be let's see. Hold on. Yeah. Hold on. So that's what we're working with, Waging War by Zip Code. We're going to go down to the part here where it was talking about these things called bisphenols, phytoestrogens, and we just want to get into this today. All right, so the plot to target Black women through the food that they buy. And we know that Black women, now keep in mind, we just had a situation where white supremacists just went straight up and killed Black women because they were buying food. The plot to target Black women through the food that they buy. At the top of the EWG's Dirty Dozen list is bisphenol A, or BPA, which is a synthetic estrogenic anti-androgen endocrine disruptor. And that basically means that estrogenic means that it mimics estrogen. Okay, so estrogen is a chemical that comes with a behavior. It comes with a mood. Okay, guys. So when you get those estrogens, that comes with a mood. Anti-androgen is against the male hormone testosterone, or the androgens, the hormones that produce a masculine mood. Okay, so let's keep going. Used in the production of plastics and the lining of canned goods. BPA is bad news. BPA exposure has been linked to diabetes and cancer, particularly prostate cancer. It also is a gender-bending chemical. In a study of the effect of BPA or on aromatase expression in rat testicular Leydig cells. Okay, so aromatase is basically an enzyme that breaks down testosterone and it turns it into estrogen. Okay, and then the Leydig cells are the cells that are the basically they create testosterone. Okay, or they absorb it. So these things you can look up. I'm not going to break down every single thing, but I want us to kind of look up some of these studies, because we can't understand really what's happening unless we get into the science. We got to get a little bit into the science. All right, so the Leydig cells, J.Y. Kim and others, et al. Means and others, ETAL, that means and others, found that BPA induced an increased aromatization, thereby increasing estrogen levels and reduced testosterone synthesis. A 2015 study of painted turtles with BPA applied on their eggs found that BPA reversed sex. Okay? It reversed sex. Okay? Big deal. And male turtles develop female sex organs and reprogrammed male turtle brains to show female typical behavior. Turtles are considered indicator species because they can be used as a barometer for the health of the entire ecosystem. In humans, adult exposure can lower natural hormone levels, testosterone in males and estrogen in females. It can be anti-estrogenic in females. Child and in utero exposure affects brain development. Okay, so your brain inside of the mother's womb is literally programmed masculine and programmed feminine. Okay, this thing can be done in a baby. Okay, and there's some that occurs after birth, but the thing is, the brain development. Okay, so this is important. Sexual differentiation. Open field and play behavior as well. So the way they play, the behavior. In fact, early BPA exposure can interfere with the brain sex differentiation process and eliminate or reverse sexual dimorphisms in brain structure. So the structure of the brain that is typically female, typically masculine, it can eliminate or reverse sexual dimorphisms in brain structure and behavior, making boys act like girls and girls act like boys, as Kondavuk and others note. This study provides evidence that low-dose maternal BPA exposure induces long-lasting disruption to epigenetic pathways in the brain of offspring. Epigenetics tells us that it goes through lineage. Okay, this can get passed on. One of the most striking neurobiological effects of BPA is the loss of sexual dimorphism in brain structure and behavior, illustrated by animal studies. Findings concordant with human epidemiological studies. See, I can read it in my brain, but pronouncing it interestingly different. Okay. Every year, over 2 million tons of BPA are used. They use it, okay? Every year, over 2 million tons of BPA are used in manufacture of epoxy resins, okay, line the food cans, and polycarbonate plastics. As a result, BPA is ubiquitous in the environment, and exposure is universal. The CDC suggests that BPA is in the body of 93% of Americans over 6 years old. However, poor Black people carry the greatest body burden. Urinary metabolites of BPA are detected in 90% of the U.S. population, with higher exposures observed in non-Hispanic Blacks, children, females, and those of lower socioeconomic status. And the major source of the Black BPA body burden is our food sources. As the San Diego Union Tribune reported, canned foods in grocery stores continue to contain the toxin BPA, according to a report by the Center for Environmental Health. Low-income people are more likely to face exposure to the chemical since many live in areas with limited access to fresh produce and other food. African Americans and low-income families have on average amounts of BPA in their bodies, have higher amounts of BPA in their bodies than people of other races and people of higher income, the report stated. In the first study to investigate maternal fetal BPA concentrations by racial and ethnic group, Black pregnant women from a South Carolina cohort were found to have the highest maternal serum BPA concentrations, tenfold higher than Caucasian mothers. In a study of inner city Blacks and Dominican mothers and their children from New York, widespread BPA exposure was detected among this group. BPA detected in 94% of samples. In Ranjit and colleagues thus explains. So these are scientific studies that most of y'all never would read. Okay. A growing body of evidence suggests that African Americans may be more likely to be at higher risk of exposure to EDCs. As noted, BPA has been shown to account for most estrogenic activity that leaches from landfills into the surrounding ecosystems. Communities in which African Americans are more likely than whites to reside. Furthermore, communities with higher proportions of African Americans have a disproportionate number of fast food restaurants, McDonald's, Death Trap, Burger Kings, compared to communities with lower proportions of African Americans. So these things are literally put there where we live. And fewer sources of fresh food. Studies of the spatial distribution of fast food restaurants and supermarkets around found that all African Americans areas, regardless of income, were less likely to have access to healthy food options than predominantly white, higher income communities. Specifically, stores in predominantly Black areas have been found to carry less fresh produce, higher proportion of canned foods than other stores. In predominantly white areas, African American households are overrepresented among the food insecure. In 2005, 23.6% of African American households were food insecure, compared with only 8.6% of white households. Given these high rates of food insecurity, African American households are more likely to rely on cheap, energy-dense, fast food and on food banks, which typically distribute canned foods. As noted, a known and significant source of BPA exposure. Food pantry use is more than twice as high among Blacks than among non-Hispanic whites. Okay. Not only is the environment where poor Black people are forced to live made toxic by the intentional dumping of these chemicals nearby, but the food that is made available in Black areas, which are deemed food deserts, fast food, canned foods, are contaminated with chemicals such as BPA, which Urinal and others report that findings show significantly higher serum BPA concentrations in pregnant African American women compared with Caucasians. There is evidence that this disparity is not accidental, but the result of the deliberate targeting of pregnant Black women with BPA products. In May 2009, lobbyists for the industry giants who use BPA in their products, such as Coca-Cola and Del Monte, convened for 5 hours at the exclusive Cosmo Club in Washington, D.C. to secretly collude and plot a major public relations campaign aimed at defeating legislative initiatives to remove BPA from its items designed for small children. The Washington Post obtained the internal notes from the meeting and published them along with the Journal Sentinel. Keep in mind, y'all don't know nothing about this. They sat up here. They don't have to use this. 2009 lobbyists, they sat up there and colluded so they don't have to stop using this poison. The documents were obtained by the Washington Post. Okay? Here's the documents. You're seeing them. Know your environment, protect your health. About us, blah, blah, blah. Coca-Cola, Del Monte, caught in plot to deceive moms and minorities over dangers of BPA. Y'all don't care because y'all don't know to care. For immediately released Thursday, June 4th, 2009, Washington, D.C., Environmental Working Group called on its growing list of supporters to demand both Coca-Cola and Del Monte stop using BPA, bisphenol A, in food and beverage containers. Okay, they poisoning you on purpose. Of each of the company's products, lobbyists for the companies attended last week's closed-door meeting where the food and chemical industry secretly colluded to plot a major public relations and lobbying campaign with the goal of defeating legislative initiatives at the state level to remove toxic estrogen chemicals, extra estrogens, from items designed for small children. They want to get it in your children early. Environmental Working Group, along with the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel and the Washington Post, first obtained the internal documents last Friday that expose industry secret plans as it fights to hold on to the estimated the estimated $6 billion in yearly profits. After all bills paid, profits $6 billion generated by the production and sale BPA. Companies that plot to scare mothers and minorities into consuming more BPAs should be called out for their deceitful and unethical practices, said EWG Executive Director Richard Wiles. Whether it's Coke, Del Monte, or any other company, a toxic chemical like BPA shouldn't be in the packaging of food and beverages, okay? The purpose of the meeting, as EGA reported, was to plot to scare these mothers and minorities into consuming BPA. In order to defeat the efforts to ban BPA, the industry would target young mothers with a message to resist BPA-free products and remain loyal to BPA-used products. According to the notes, the lobbyist Holy Grail spokesperson would be a pregnant young mother who would be willing to speak around the country about the benefits of BPA. But it wouldn't be any pregnant young mother showcasing the good of BPA. According to the notes, the focus of this campaign to dissuade people from choosing BPA-free packaging is specifically minorities or Hispanic and African Americans. Okay, the industry lobbyists were prepared to invest $500,000 to come up with a message trying to sell BPA to Black people and frighten pregnant Black and brown mothers into staying away from BPA-free food packaging for their children, as the Journal Sentinel reports. Other strategies discussed at the meeting included focusing on how BPA bans would disproportionately put minorities at risk, particularly Hispanics and African Americans, who are more inclined to be poor and dependent on canned foods. committee members said that they would try to get stories in the media that spread the message that canned goods made. See, they're just colluding with the media, and we believe in the media. Okay, but anyway, okay, without BPA would be more likely to become contaminated with bacteria. Okay, it should be very clear why pregnant women have a serum BPA concentration of 10-fold higher than Caucasian women. It is not by accident. Pregnant Black and brown women are specifically targeted with BPA products so that they could feed BPA poison foods to their babies, their fetus. Okay? That's evil. Evil, 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 evil. And then we wonder. Because of these type of attacks using food as a weapon, we wonder what's going on. We wonder what is going on. Okay, guys, this is something that we got to pay attention to. I'm going to share just a couple of definitions with everybody. And then we're going to get out of here. I don't want this to be very long because I want people to look at this just like I got Kevin Samuels up there. Food is a weapon. It's worse than a machine gun. That machine gun that the dude pulled out there at the Tops Food Market, you know, that machine gun, food is a weapon worse than that, because especially if you don't know what's going on. So hold on, let's see. Here we go. We're going to get into a little bit of this. All right, so just really quick here, we're going to go into, these are studies that get done. You know, I get these things, look over them. But, you know, we want to go into a couple of definitions. I just want to put these definitions out there for us to understand. Okay, pilot study. This is Research Children's Health. Hold on a second. Let me do this here. Research Children's Health here. This is what's going on here. It's the kind of stuff that we got to figure out. Goodness. How come? Yeah, I thought I just had that. Maybe I'll be able to get it. Maybe oh, there it is. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to read the basic part of this. I mean, you guys can get this stuff. Research Children Health pilot study, and you can Google the people who did this study. Just Google Mary S. Wolof. That's why I show it on the screen. Urinary, so they use pee. Urinary biomarkers of phytoestrogens, phthalates, which I don't like the way they spell that because it's really, the pH is silent. Anyway, and you would mess up just hearing that word, but it's PHTHALTES, and phenols in girls. Notice they study it in girls. Why? Women are, they are the producers of the next generation. So if a woman's body is toxic, you get all sorts of weird issues in the next generation. If the female's body is toxic, we don't have a problem with the kids. So let's look at this here. What is a phytoestrogen? Let's look at that. Let's see. This is from the NIH. Pros and cons of phytoestrogens. Okay, phytoestrogens are plant-derived compounds found in a wide variety of foods, most notably soy. So when you hear soy boy, okay, a litany of health benefits, including lower risk of whatever, osteoporosis, heart. So they want to put pros and cons because the NIH want that you to have that soy in that. Okay. So, but many are also considered endocrine disruptors. Endocrine disruptors. So your endocrine system. This is secreting out your hormones. Your hormones address your mood, address your sentiment, address your ability to control your attitude. They address your weight. They address all sorts of stuff. They help program your masculine behavior, feminine behavior. They can program your body, masculine and feminine. That's what the endocrine system does. And then these phytoestrogens are considered endocrine disruptors, indicating that they have the potential to cause adverse health effects as well. Consequently, the question of whether or not phytoestrogens are beneficial or harmful to human health remains unresolved, and which is not really, but they want to make it nefarious. We got to look and think ourselves. Phytoestrogens are present in numerous dietary supplements, okay, widely marketed as natural alternatives to estrogen replacement therapy. Now, if you're talking about phytoestrogens, why are we men taking estrogen replacement therapy in regular food? Soy, infant formula. Everybody's scared about this infant formula. Why are you putting soy in your baby milk? Okay, so that's a phytoestrogen. What is a phthalate? A phthalate. Phthalates are a family of chemical compounds primarily used to make polyvinyl chloride, okay, vinyl, or vinyl flexible pliant stuff. Phthalates are one of the most common used plasticizers in the world and are categorized as high or low, okay, depending on molecular weight. So they're a plasticizer. They're also gender bending. We're not going to get into all of that. So buildings, constructions, uses in constructive textiles, safety information. High phthalates such as disoyl phthalate have been thoroughly studied, reviewed, number of government agencies, body world, yada yada, Center Disease Control, President Latin, yep. Okay. We got school bags, leather, dust, household. Hold on. No. You're supposed to be food, household. Okay, that's up. All right, so they're not entering environment, quality, and concentration. Okay, toys, purposes, harmful children, pregnant women. Okay, so they tell you that, it can be used in sensitive applications like toys and child care articles without any restrictions. It's based this conclusion on finding that it poses no harm. Anyway, the bottom line is they're not really safe, but, this is being studied. And they put a bunch of word salad up here because they want to keep using it. All right. Okay. They want to keep using it, so, there it is. Now, also, a phenol. What's a phenol? An extremely poisonous compound used to dilute solution as an antimicrobial, anesthetic, and antipyretic. Ingestion or absorption through the skin causes symptoms including colic, local irritation, corrosion, seizures, cardiac arrhythmias, weak heart shock, and respiratory arrest. Phenols should be properly labeled, stored to avoid accidental poison, called also carbolic acid. Okay, so these are the studies, and they did a pilot study to check out the biomarkers of phytoestrogens, phthalates, and phenols in girls. This lady did it. Okay, hormonally active environmental agents have been measured among U.S. girls using exposure biomarkers in urine. However, little is known about their variation in race, age, sex, the geography, and no data exists for newly developed biomarkers. So the objective of this is our goal was to characterize relevant prevalent exposures for a study of female pubertal development methods in a pilot study among 90 girls in New York City, New York, Cincinnati, Ohio, and Northern California. We measured 25 urinary analytes representing 22 separate agents from 3 chemical families: phytoestrogens, phthalates, and phenols. Exposures occurs chiefly from the diet and household or personal care products. Okay, participants represented 4 racial ethnic groups: Asian, Black, Hispanic, White, with a mean age of 7.7 years. So these were between 7 and 8 years old. Any analytes were detectable. Most analytes were detectable in greater than 94% of samples. So by the time y'all ate, everybody got it. The highest median concentration for individual analytes in each family were for enterolactone, monoethylphthalate, and benzophenone. Few or no data have been reported previously for 4 metabolites. So they give you the monothylamate, so the bisphenol A, and these were detectable in 67 to 100% of samples, with medians these are micrograms, but we're not going to go into all the word salad part. I'm just doing the word. Okay, after multivalent, and a multivariant adjustment, 2 analytes, enterolactone and BPA, were higher, among girls with body mass indexes less than the 85th reference percentile. So if you're normal weight, now the body mass index reference is this thing. So the 5th percentile means you're super skinny, you got a healthy weight, but if you're below the 85th percentile, that's where most of the stuff was detected. Okay, if you're super fat, and if you're kind of fat and super fat, then I guess it was a little less detected. And I'm just putting this out here, guys, and thanks for listening. You can share this if you guys feel like sitting here. I sat there and read this just to kind of expose the community to this stuff. But if we don't know this stuff, we're going to be ingesting our own murder weapons, basically, just like Kevin did. Drinking stuff that hurts your heart, it's a weapon. All right, peace out.